Hello everyone, this is Mr. Ahmed Qadri and today we will continue our lesson about forces and motion. And today we want to talk about how do forces affect each other. Okay guys, let's do a small experiment to explain how do forces affect each other. So first, okay guys, if I want to apply a force of 50 newtons to the left and I want to see what's happened to the this cart right now. So the cart is moving toward the force. The sum of forces it is 50 newton. So in this case, we can say the sum of forces here the net force. The net force is the sum of all forces. Here I have only this force. So if I applied another force, so you can see I have 150 newtons. So the sum of forces is 150. So right now you can see also the cart is moving through this one. So another example, if I want to put the same amount of forces in both sides, so I have 150 left and 150 right. So the sum of forces is 150 minus 150. It will give me a 0. So if I want to make a push both sides, so the cart is not moving. Why? Because the net force or the sum of forces is 0. So in this case, we can say when the net forces are equal in strength and opposite in direction, they are balanced force. And if we put another man here pushing to this side, so I have right now, you can see I have the net force is 150 because I have 300 newton to the right and 150 newton to the left. In this case, so the net force, as you see, it's not 0. So this is we called an unbalanced force. So forces of unequal strength or forces that are not opposite in direction are called unbalanced force. As example, we can make a new experiment. You can see right now the sum forces is 0. When it's 0, so it's balanced, right? 50 to the right and 50 to the left. If I want to put another force right now, you can see now unbalanced force. So the sum of forces it's 100. So I want to put 100 again, and right now the sum of forces is 0. So imagine you can see 300 and 300. So right now, so when the sum of forces is 0, so I have balanced force. So the effect, there is no effect of these two because these two forces right now, the left force and the right force, because of the net force is 0, as you see right now. When the net force is not 0, right now you can see it's 150, the sum of forces. So it's unbalanced force. Okay guys, right now we want to talk about inertia and Newton's first law of motion. So Newton's first law of motion states that an object at rest tends to stay at rest, and that an object in motion will remain in motion. In other words, like an object moving in a straight line at a constant speed tends to keep moving that way. According to this law, the way to change an object's velocity is to apply an unbalanced net force to it. So, as example, imagine there is a book on the in front of you on the desk. So this book, if there is no force act on this book, so this book, it will stay at the same place, even you leave it for 100 years. If there is no force, any object, as example, look around you right now at home, any object around you, if you don't touch it, it will stay at the same place. It's not moving. And any object, if it's in motion, it will stay in motion. Like example, the earth and the moon. We know the earth travel around the sun. So this is, and keep going. There is no external force act on the earth to stop from the moving around the sun or orbiting around the sun, and the same as the moon. So the moon is an as continue moving in an orbit around the sun with a constant speed, tends to keep moving that way. So this is an example of Newton's first law. And of course, if we want to talk about Newton's first law, we want to talk about inertia, because the scientists said this law is the law of inertia in general. So inertia, which is the tendency of an object to keep moving at the same speed and in the same direction. Inertia is the reason the ball kept moving even though the bus slowed down. Passengers in a moving car also feel the effect of inertia. If a vehicle stops quickly, the passenger's body moves forward. Cars are equipped with a seat belt and airbags to minimize the injury that can result from inertia. As you see this picture right now here, inertia causes a crash test dummy to move forward when a vehicle stops suddenly. So when we stop, because all the objects inside the car suddenly, if we stop suddenly, so continue moving forward. So this is an example of inertia.